So you've been part of the Gonzaga staff since 2018, and now you're serving as an assistant coach. Can you share what connection to the program first brought you here and how that opportunity came about?
Well, my initial contact with the Zags was actually recruiting. I was coaching at Florida Atlantic University at the time, as an assistant there, and I was recruiting a player that the Zags were recruiting. They ended up not making it to Spokane, but nor Boca Raton. But that was the time when I met Tommy Lloyd. I knew of the Zags, but I didn't know any of the Zags. But I would follow them from a distance because it was a program that always intrigued me, how they worked, how they appeared. Didn't know nothing about Gonzaga at that time, but it was through Tommy that we coincided a few international events, and it was basically recruiting the same player that he came and found me. Who are you and why are you recruiting? Same guy as I am. So that's basically, that was the link, that was the connection, the first this time that I met. In this case, it was Tommy.
And you grew up playing for CB Zaragoza, then played high school basketball in Pennsylvania. But from what I found, you had some time where you stepped away to leave and do different work, more on the corporate side. But what made you decide to leave that work you were doing for a bit after playing basketball and came back into coaching? Was there like a trigger point?
Well, first, the decision of stop playing basketball was one that it was not hard to make, because at that point I kind of realized that I probably wasn't going to be able to make a living out of playing professional basketball. But I wasn't too sure what to do. I thought I would like marketing. I liked sports marketing. Never got to the sports side of marketing. It was all marketing corporate. But I realized 4 or 5 years down the road that I missed the game, I missed basketball. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with basketball. Some people, after playing or even without playing, know they want to coach. For me, it wasn't the case necessarily. I didn't know I wanted to coach, but I knew that I wanted to be part of a team. I wanted to be part of a locker room. I wanted to be part of the culture that comes out of just being in the basketball program or club. So that's what made me a little bit like dream out of the corporate job and try to see if I could get back to the basketball side of things. But at the time, I didn't know it was going to be coaching.
Was there a specific moment where maybe that shift happened, where maybe someone brought an opportunity to you and then you jumped into coaching, or was it just?
No, as you pointed out, I did 1 year of high school here in the States, so I didn't play college basketball in the States, but I had that kind of like, it wasn't a regret at all, but it was more so the curiosity of experiencing basketball in the States. And I think that's when, I don't think there was like a trigger point that made me go for it, but I thought, okay, if I'm going to take a leap of faith and try to, quit my job and try to, figure it out in the basketball landscape, I wanted to give it a try to just try to be able to see if I could get a job here in the States. And it took me a while. It wasn't a point. It was a lot. It was a 2-year process of trial and error and trying to figure out what's the best way to make it happen. And I just came to the conclusion that not the best, but maybe the only chance I thought I had was to just pack my bags and just fly to the States and try to figure it out while here, right? As opposed to trying to send emails or trying to make calls that were getting me nowhere.
Speaking of coaching in general, you came to the States, but you also have the highest accreditation in Spain, the Entrenador Superior. So that's unique in terms of what people conceive of what coaching is like in the United States, like having that be part of the process in Spain. So can you walk through kind of why that is something there in Spain and what that process was like for you?
Yeah, so basically, depending on what level of basketball you want to coach, what age group you want to coach, you are required to take certain certifications or accreditations to where basically federations, the regional federations, ensure that you're qualified to lead a group and your basketball knowledge is on par to the level you're coaching or you aspire to coach, etc. So it's funny because a lot of coaches from Spain ask me, well, I have I'm an entrenador superior, I do have that accreditation. Does that work in the States? It's like, well, no, nobody asks you for anything. So anybody can coach? It's like, yes, and there's a couple 100 million people trying to coach. So there are no barriers entry to coach. So here is, I think everywhere relationships are a big part of coaching and moving up and moving within the basketball world, the coaching world. But at least in a way over there's some certain requirements that you're just, they cap what levels you can coach depending on your certification.
So pivoting now to you being a coach here, with this upcoming roster, there's a lot of new faces and returning talent. When you look at this roster, what's something that gets you excited so far about this new group?
Energy, unity, togetherness. It's been 2 weeks of our 8 summer weeks, but it's a group. It is very just joy. And this is not a knock on any other groups in the past, but those traits I think permeate through the group, through the practices. We're vocal. And I think that's contagious. I think that joy that it just goes from rep to rep, from possession to possession. It's contagious. It's good. It's good to be a part of that.
And being in your time here since 2018, there's been some obviously big moments within this program. Is there one or two that have stood out for you that you are personally proud of, or one that makes you think, this is why I came here and why I love coaching? There's a lot. There's
a lot. The moment you asked the question, Jalen Zags shot.
Take me through that experience for you, like when that happened, your perspective in the moment.
First of all, we were in the bubble. And so that whole month, 45 days, like after our conference tournament, preparing for the bubble, doing a little bit of a pre-bubble, it was intense in many ways. My wife was pregnant, so our first daughter Luna was about to be born in April. So that was March, early April at that time. So like the whole bubble thing was an experience of its own. Like you didn't even know what day it was. So it's a little bit different experience as your traditional NCAA tournament, because everything was like condensed and everything was in the same hotel, literally. But then those games happened so fast, and days were slow, but the weeks were fast. And the game against UCLA itself was lots of punches thrown back and forth, and it was a extremely, obviously, close game. Just almost like you don't expect it to happen clearly, but when the ball went like off Jalen's hands, I'm like, oh, that thing's going in, and that thing's going in, and then it was just disbelief, but also joy, and that was probably the peak because of all that encompassed that year, that season, not knowing what games were going to be played and whatnot. You were always on the verge of a game being canceled. You never knew who you're going to play 3 days later because we were constantly making calls. Well, so-and-so has not played, so they might be in protocol. So let's figure out if we can get this game for next week. So the whole year was intense, but I think that game encapsulated the whole.
Yeah, it's a microcosm of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's super cool. You brought this up kind of when you were talking about your rise into coaching, but what is one of the biggest things that coaching has taught you, either about the game or just about people and life?
It's, I always say, we're always dealing with people. It doesn't matter your line of work. I worked in corporate 4 or 5 years, coaching for going up for 16. At the end of the day, it's just people. The excuse or the vehicle in our case is a orange basketball and 2 baskets and the teachings and the management of the people. You know, it's through basketball. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is trying to get a group to buy in for common goals and trying to accomplish those same goals, right? So then you can extrapolate those same values, those same methods to any other activity in life. So it's for me in particular, basketball it's just a vehicle for relationships, and I always claim, how do you do anything is how do you do everything, and that applies to basketball and beyond. So there's a true one-to-one relationship from basketball and other aspects of life.
So if you were in the position where you had to sit down with yourself right after you jumped away from the corporate job and just getting into the thing of coaching, would you have any advice you'd express to yourself to handle this journey in front of you?
It's ironic. My first job in corporate, I had to, and this it wasn't fun. I had to manage a team of 16 people, straight out of college. Straight out of college. And it was 2005, which means that a couple years, we were starting to see the recession, the worldwide recession. I had to fire those 16 people. I was 22, 23 at the time. Those 16 people were significantly older than I was, with families. So I felt I wasn't prepared to lead that group. For sure wasn't prepared to handle those emotions and those, but just because of the synergy of what I'm saying, right? Like that for sure helped me navigate some, if not all, but some instances in the basketball landscape of being adaptable, of being empathetic with other people, and just lead with honesty and with truth, and just trying to put yourself in the shoes of the other person, whether it's a player, with another coach, whether it's an opponent, a referee. Like just try to understand where what our role is in all this, right? But there's definitely a one-to-one synergy in that area, for sure.
People-to-people interactions happen a lot in different spaces in basketball, one of them being recruiting. And in this time of you being here, what has you seen evolve in Gonzaga's recruiting philosophy, and specifically within your role in recruiting? Any different priorities and adjustments you have been moving towards, at least to this point now, with the recruiting?
I think the biggest one, and still is fit. You cannot evaluate talent in a vacuum. That means that sometimes you're going to have to pass on talent that could certainly help in many ways, but would just not be the right fit, and not because of character, but maybe because of timing. I kind of joke, but not joke, but kind of share often that my job in the recruiting prism is that I have to say no to talented players more often than I can say yes. And that's not a knock on them. That's not a knock on their talent or their ability. It's just that it might not be the right time, the right moment for them to come to Gonzaga. Just because we may have 6, 7, 8, 10 returners, and if the expectations of a player do not match our expectations for that player, which in terms of timing, in terms of role, there's going to be some friction. So I always approach these relationships, with honesty, and this is the role that the talent is there, the fit is there, the role that we see for you is this, and this is the plan, and leading with that truth, with that transparency. Oftentimes, maybe, well, I want to go somewhere else that I can do it right away. Well, no problem. Usually, I get calls back. and now with the one-time transfer, or not with the limit transfer rule, you get those calls because it's usually with time that just by telling the truth, you're in the trust, but also maybe 6 months later they see that what I was saying was the honest truth, that it was just not the right time for that. So that it's preserve the fit component and just be truthful in terms of transparency when it comes to timing, role, and not only what can the player do for us, but what can we do for the player? Do we match? Are we aligned in terms of expectations? And if it's a match, then we go for it. If it's not, it's no hard feelings. It's no, it's just not meant to be for now.
And you are a part of this high-level staff that Gonzaga has built, and Coach Few's leadership has been a major part of creating this consistent success. And he gives every coach a real opportunity to be involved and have autonomy and have their role. How crucial has that been with Coach Few's leadership, and how he does that within this coaching staff and within your own position?
It's incredible, and it's incredible because he's the first one that does not put us in boxes. We may have coach responsible for a particular scout, but he may be walking through the offices and asking somebody else about what do we think about that opponent. Well, I'm for one, I don't like saying or answering, that's not my scout. It's not my problem. No, I would never say that. I would never. Now, I want to be prepared so that it's not my answer. Same with offense, defense. We might be more involved in one side of the on the ball or the other, or we might work with the guards or bigs. But what I've gotten from these 7 going into 8 years working for him is understanding that while you do your job, keep an eye on the big picture. Keep an eye on where the program's going. Keep an eye not just on your direct role, but keep an eye on the welfare of the program as a whole. And that goes for X's and O's, that goes for recruitment, that goes for just the day-to-day of the program. You see something it's not to our standard, fix it. So all that is again, it's the empowerment that he provides to all of us, and it's a responsibility too, because if I want him to trust me with my opinion, my voice, it's my job, it's my duty, it's my responsibility to be prepared. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be correct all the time, but at least do my due diligence to where my contributions at least come out of a place of well thought and just to the best of my ability.
And those kind of things you're doing aren't visible to fans, and everyone sees game nights and what's happening there. But what's something from your perspective and behind the scenes of what you guys do that you really think helps shape this successful program?
It's habits. It's a day-to-day. It's behavior. So behavior in time. It's habits. What you do. It's what you do day in, day out. So yes, I'm sure. From at any level, players, coaches, fans may see it twice a week maybe. But it's for us. It's trusting that what we're doing at the everyday level. It's might not have an immediate reflection on the success of the program, but we do know, we do believe that our actions in time are going to produce positive results for the program. So.
And you touched on this a little bit ago about recruiting and fit being such a huge thing for Gonzaga. Obviously, the teams change every year, but for the culture side of things, what is that fit?
Number one thing is understanding where we're coming from, not geographically, but from where a program has been, who have been those that have put the program in this place. Understanding that, buying it, but also buying the fact that again, it's our responsibility to leave this place in a better place that we found it. This program in a better place that we found it. and that's not for everybody. There is a responsibility that we kind of owe to those before us, that we get to enjoy the fruits of their labor, the fruits of their habits, and it's kind of our, it's not kind, it's our job to accept that and pick it up and up it up a notch and help it grow and help it get better.
Speaking of that culture, how would you personally describe Gonzaga's culture from your time being here?
In a few words, I would say it's an environment conducive to success. And I think the key word is conducive, because if we had the right, the right formula, it would be infallible. It would be great all the time. But it requires being nurtured. It requires being worked on. It requires being corrected when needed. It requires coaching. It requires a lot of work in a day-to-day, to the point that it seems or it feels that it's a given, but it's really not. It's a process of stacking days and habits and those behaviors that we want to be replicated. We want to see replicated, and it used to be a certain way because we had so many 3, 4, 5-year guys in the program. So it would, I believe we've always been intentional, but in this era of high rotation, not just in Gonzaga and everywhere, we have to simplify our methods. We have to simplify our communication without losing the essence of it. But so when guys show up for summer workouts, we may have, depending on the year, I don't know, 2, 3, 5, 6 new guys. We cannot address those guys. We cannot assume the culture is preserved just because last year we had 8 seniors and now we don't. Now, 2 months later, we may have 1 senior that happens to be a 2-year Gonzaga player. I don't know, I'm just making up the example, but it's just we cannot take X's and O's, we cannot take who we are and our culture for granted, because it's not fair to those newcomers to, for us to assume they know what we are about.
Mm-hmm. And your expertise in coaching, there's a lot of stuff you do, but you have a lot of expertise within the analytical side of basketball. Mm-hmm. And combining that with the culture side of things, 2 guys that you've mentioned in a previous interview that had interest in the analytics and also were great culture fits was Andrew Nembhard and Chet Holmgren, and they both competed in this NBA Finals. What do you see from their time being here and them and their ascension in the NBA that they had that balance of trying to have an interest in understanding the analytics and how that helped catapult them into roles that were very valuable to championship tier teams?
Well, those 2 guys, Andrew and Chet, they were extremely efficient. And at the end of the day, like if analytics searches for something is to maximize efficiency. There's another way of referring to that efficiency, and we use it a lot. It's playing the right way. But for us, it's one and the same. And in terms of the players, like we do a lot of analytics, and as a staff, we are not crazy driven by them, but most of the decisions we make, the vast majority, are analytics based. However, what the guys get, whether scouting or instruction or player development, it's not necessarily an analytic piece of data. They might get the evolution of that, which is, okay, we may know that our opponent, they are more efficient in pick and roll when the ball handler scores himself. Well, we don't need to tell them what their OER is when he handles the ball, or when he scores the basketball, versus when he passes out of it. But our decision for that game is, hey, this is our coverage because we want him to pass out of ball screens. So they don't need to know all the pieces of information, but those two in particular, they understood the why we are going with a certain coverage or with a certain plan versus another. And their basketball IQ would put 2 and 2 together, and they were extremely good at executing those whatever strategy, whatever plan was. So I mean, they were super bright on and off the court, but you know, those guys would pick up everything so fast. So it was super fun.
Well, Jorge, I appreciate the interview. It was good to talk about your journey in coaching as well as your impact on this program and how successful you have been here. So thank you for the time.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Thanks.